Budget 2025 was barely tabled when Nova Scotia Conservative MP Chris D'Entremont resigned from caucus, defecting to the Liberals in a stunning blow to Pierre Poilievre and his party. The huge move gives the Carney government one more vote to get this budget passed through Parliament and potentially avoid an election. Chris D'Entremont is now the Liberal MP for the Nova Scotia riding of ACCUSED, and he joins me now this Sunday for his first broadcast interview since Tuesday's floor crossing. Good morning, Chris D'Entremont.
Good morning to you.
You have sat as a Conservative politician, federally and provincially, for about 2 decades now. You were a provincial cabinet minister. After all that time, how do you explain to folks in your riding that actually you've changed your colors? You're a Liberal now.
Well, I mean, situational. We get elected to represent the best issues of our ridings as people come forward, and sometimes we have to make decisions that are hard and tough. And I felt that in this particular case, it was better to be a part of the government caucus than it was to be sitting in the opposition. And I'm hoping, as time goes on, that the constituents in ACCUSED will understand that decision.
You had that private meeting that we have reported on with the Prime Minister. Was that what sealed the decision for you, or had you already made up your mind going into that conversation?
No, I mean, this has been a thought for a long time, basically from the election, hearing from longtime supporters that wouldn't support me anymore because of the leadership style of the Conservative Party. So, I've been thinking about it a lot. And, I think people saw that I wasn't being utilized within my party, and they were reaching out. And when I had that meeting with the Prime Minister, because I really hadn't had the opportunity to meet Mr. Carney before, that did help a lot in making it clearer of what I wanted to do. But I tell you, what really made it, what sealed the deal is when I got yelled at when this became part of the news on Tuesday.
Okay, there is a lot to unpack there. I certainly want to hear about the yelling in a second, but I want to be clear. You said you weren't being utilized, or people were telling you weren't being utilized with the Conservatives. Did the Liberals suggest that there's more opportunity on their side of the floor, that you could be a contender for a cabinet spot, for example?
No, absolutely not. I think it was just looking at the mechanisms that they have. They would talk about, the caucus that we have here in Nova Scotia, the way caucus worked, what kind of input caucus was able to have in developing the budget. Those are all things that really don't happen over in the Conservative caucus. And quite honestly, this is a time in Canada where we should be really looking at building and trying to find ways to, counteract tariffs and everything else that's going on in the world. It's a time to work together. And, over the summer, I didn't see an opportunity, or I didn't see a move to work together. All I saw was more division and more anger, and I wasn't going to be a part of that anymore.
Chris D'Entremont just publicly torched Pierre Poilievre's leadership style, calling it negative and declaring he no longer felt aligned with the Conservative Party's direction. The Nova Scotia MP crossed the floor to the Liberals on Tuesday, appeared with Mark Carney on Wednesday, and suggested other Conservative MPs might follow him. It is a political earthquake, and the Conservatives are scrambling to dismiss him as bitter about losing the Deputy Speaker role. Welcome to Canada newsletter, where we break down the defection that has Poilievre's leadership looking shakier by the minute. Before we dive into what D'Entremont actually said about leaving and why the Conservatives are desperately trying to spin this as personal grievance rather than legitimate criticism, hit that subscribe button and click the notifications bell. You will not want to miss how this political drama unfolds. Right, let us get into this properly explosive floor crossing. Nova Scotia MP Chris D'Entremont said Wednesday he left the Conservative caucus because he did not feel represented in leader Pierre Poilievre's party anymore and bristled at his negative approach to politics. D'Entremont said there are other Conservative MPs who are in the same boat, and they may join him in crossing over to Liberals. That is a massive warning shot. If D'Entremont is correct, Poilievre could be facing multiple defections in the coming weeks. In the last number of months, I was not feeling I was aligned with the ideals of what the leader of the opposition had been talking about, D'Entremont told reporters of Poilievre after appearing with Prime Minister Mark Carney at a post-budget news conference, the day after he crossed the floor. Asked what pushed him out, D'Entremont said, "It is just looking at leadership styles and whether we are doing the right thing for Canada." D'Entremont said Canada is facing challenges and he felt it was better to be part of the solution to some of those troubles as a member of the government caucus and not continue to be negative. It is time to lead a country to try and make it better and not try to knock it down, he said. We have a great opportunity here in Canada, and rather than knocking people down, we should try to find ways to work together, and that is what I have always tried to do in my career. A self-described red Tory, D'Entremont said he was also swayed by Carney's first budget, which includes more money for infrastructure, the fishery, farming, and the military. Those are crucial industries in his rural Nova Scotia riding, which also includes a Canadian Armed Forces base that stands to gain from the government's defense spending hike. D'Entremont said the Liberals promised him nothing in return for crossing the floor. Conservative Deputy Leader Melissa Lantsman alleged D'Entremont left over a past disagreement over who should serve as Deputy Speaker, a position D'Entremont held in the last Parliament but one that is now occupied by Conservative MP Tom Commick. D'Entremont acknowledged discussions over that role were an awkward time for him, but he did move on, and that is not what brought him to this decision. He said he just felt Carney was a better leader for the moment. Carney said he admires D'Entremont for making the decision to leave. This is a time where we need to act boldly, Carney said, adding he and D'Entremont have alignment on what is best for the country as it faces economic threats amid U.S. tariffs. Asked if he has had conversations with other MPs about joining the Liberals, Carney said, "We will speak to anyone publicly or otherwise who can support us." Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, this has been Canada Newsletter.